Hey guys, following up on my video on the 4090 FE block, I am now going to do the 40 series ASUS block from Phanteks. They make these blocks for the gaming OC, which also fits the Master, and they make this block for the Trio, which also fits the Supreme. Okay, and obviously the ASUS ROG STRIX, TUF, 4080, 4090. I'm not sure if the gaming OC one fits the 4080 as well. I know the Trio, I think, does. But it's best to check the Phanteks website. For those of you not familiar with AIB practices, these days it's not uncommon for them to share PCB among the higher end and lower end models. I've gone over this before. So when you're buying, I think even on the 30 series, we had essentially the same PCB, just different componentry. I'm from like 60 Ti all the way to 90 on the ASUS STRIX, and similar situation for the TUF. Sorry, I opened this already before, so I'm just reopening it again for you guys. In the box is two small boxes. One contains the block, one contains the back plate. I think the back plate's in here. Let me just open it. Let me see if I can zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so that's probably easier to see, right? So right away, upside down. In here, in this box, you get a back plate. It's nice that to have one. I think every block should come with a back plate. Especially this block comes in at about 249 US or I think it's 250. Okay, so 250 to 270 depending on the retailer maybe. You get screws. Thermal pads, which are pre-cut. I know some people appreciate this. They seem to have changed the thermal pad company. It used to be a different color, so I'm assuming it's a different company, but I have to take a look. Okay, so then you get the block itself. Phanteks likes to put all these QC pass stickers on it. I don't know what that means, outside of maybe someone checked it for something. I don't know what they checked it for, but we'll assume they checked it. So thanks for choosing Phanteks. They never respond on social to me, even for questions, so I don't think they would like to even care. Okay, so in the box, you have in the sandwich bag, the block itself. Okay, you can see here, the ports are on the rear side, but you can see from the back, you can see the water channel coming across this way. Okay, so this is new. All right, it's a new design. I mean, I'm sure some other block has used it in the past, but this is a nice differentiator. Okay, you get Phanteks. You get RGB. Yeah, you see it? There's your RGB clip. So there's RGB. There's an adapter for it for this type of RGB. If you remove this cover, you can replace it. This also comes in black. I'm pointing at a black one. Guys, I need sleep. So this is in black, but it also comes in matte white, which this will be matte white, and a chrome for this. The matte white does have an upcharge of $20. If you want to save a buck, take it off, spray paint it, right? And that gives you two looks for one, I guess. You can go panda, you know, half white, half black. And then inside the box, bottom, the RGB cable I was talking about. I don't care for RGB, so I'm not even going to bother to look at it. Okay, so going over the manual contents. Like I said, thermal pads, block, two stop fittings, which are in here, they're black. A support bracket, which is this small thing. See, I'll go back. I'm going to mount this eventually, but what this essentially does is, I'm going to explain it real quick. You get the thermal paste. This goes on to, I believe it comes onto here. Well, let's take it out. So a lot of these cards are very heavy. So especially with the blocks on or even the air coolers. So what this does is this adds an additional attachment point to your PCI bracket, okay, which gives it rigidity. You'll see that design on, you know what, let me grab the TUF here. Okay, so I've already taken the cooler off. For those of you, if you watch my other video on the ASUS STRIX TUF, I did the disassembly there. The STRIX, sorry, the TUF. But the STRIX disassembly would be very similar. It's the same mounting points, same PCB. You know, the mounting points aren't going to change. It's always like these two, and then these four for the cooler, and then these ones around it would be for the back plate. Okay, it's always like that. So here you go. You can see that there's a mount point here, and I'm thinking that probably would line up to here. Okay, so if you see on the stock bracket, you have this, this, and this, and these three attach to the cooler, and that gives it that extra rigidity when you're, you know, in the CPU. I mean, sorry, in the computer case to kind of prevent that sag. That's what that's for. So, with that said, let's take this file to the side. I'm gonna put the block to the side. I'll put this in the baggie before I lose it, or my cat comes up and loses it for me. So put that there. And thermal pads, which we'll need. I'm not sure what paste this is. It looks like it's probably a Noctua rebrand. But yeah, then we got instructions. Okay. Yeah, and that's all that's in the box. So I'm just gonna put all this back, and then we will go ahead and start blocking the block. Okay, so I only need the pad. Oh, see, these pads are also pre-cut, I believe. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, same pack of pads. Okay, so we'll put this all to the side. This goes in a different box. I definitely need to have some coffee. Okay, so I'll put that down to the side. Put the lunchbox wrapper back in. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to move on to blocking immediately. Okay, so I'm going to cut the clip here and come back when I have the card ready. Okay guys, I'm going to start laying the pads. As you can see, I already did one. Pre-cut pads makes this process a lot faster and a lot cleaner and neater. The only issue is a lot of these pre-cut pad situations. If you say you mess up a pad, you drop one on the floor, something happens, you don't exactly have extra, you end up having to buy more. EK's approach is always give you a bag, and I think Bits Power does that too. It just gives you a bag of, well, actually I know Bits Power does that, but I think they have pre-cut pads for some of their blocks now. And they just give it to you, and then you can figure it out. And if you run out, then you can always use more. These have, like, you know, they're color coded. I mean, they're number coded, so by shape, you know, there's a diagram, and you just follow the diagram, and you should get it done. But what I was saying earlier is, you know, you can see in the photo here, the take aparts for the coolers are the same points, everything for both. I will stress this over and over in every video I make for this generation, is that you really need to understand what you're buying. I can't stress this enough. You know, the performance difference between the STRIX and the TUF is non-existent. And then the cooler performance difference is maybe like 2-3 degrees. I do have a STRIX coming, but that's, I mean, I honestly, I can't, and especially for people buying the 4080s, I cannot stress enough, do not buy a STRIX 4080. I mean, I love the brand, but do not, that card is not worth $1,550. Okay, you are so close. I mean, I understand not everybody can buy a Founders Edition, but you know, when you're talking that much money, you are so close to any 4090. A gaming OC is only like $100 more. There's no reason to be buying that at $1,550. And I think the AIBs are partially, you know, I mean, you can see the 4080s in stock quite, you know, persistently at the ASUS store and, you know, across retailers. And it's not selling well because the price point is just too horrible compared to a 4090. And I think, you know, if you're, I mean, even 1200 feels a little excessive for the 4080, but you know, I mean, I understand that for some folks, you know, that $300 makes a difference, but you know, if I were you, I would just save an extra, like, what was it, $400 or $300? I think it's, I don't remember, you know, save up a little more, you know. I mean, I understand, you know, it makes and breaks it for some folks, but you know, you're not doing yourself a favor when you're spending $1,550 on a card that you could have paid $1,600 to $1,700 for a much better card. And it's sad that that's the case. And I really advise folks, if you bought a, you know, STRIX or something for 4080, you know, return that thing. I mean, you really just overpaid. And I feel that, you know, I understand AIBs need to make their margins, and you're probably wondering why I'm ranting so much, why I'm doing pads. It's because what else is there to do, right? So, you know, really just, I really hate these like covers on these pads after I lay them down. But yeah, you really just, I mean, the AIBs are taking advantage of the situation. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw price drops come pretty quickly for the 4080, especially with the launch of the AMD cards. I think the 4090, since it will reign supreme over AMD for now, it will hold its value, but anything else is really just, you know, not. And these are like 0.5 millimeter, by the way, I feel. Oh, for those wondering, I previously mentioned it, I had some people ask, but for the stock cooler on the TUF, and most likely also for the STRIX, since it's the same PCB, the pads are 2 millimeter, okay? For the cooler, all the pads here on the stock cooler are 2 millimeter, and the pads on the back are 0.5, I believe. I'm not positive on that because I didn't measure those, but from what I measured on the stock cooler, they're 2 millimeter thick. So, let's see, I'm missing one more chip here. See, they're kind of intuitive, right? Because they're cut this size. So I'm gonna just cut it here so you guys don't have to watch me do this for the entire front. Yeah, these small tweezers make it a lot easier to peel these things. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it here. I'm gonna come back when it's done in the front and done in the back. All right, I'm still working on this, but I just wanted to point out something I noticed because I was just doing it by size and by eye. But this image and the pads, it's actually reversed. You can see that, right? So you got the long strips 4 at the bottom, but 2 and 3 are actually over here. But if I rotate it, it doesn't make sense, right? So it's actually just inverted. So just keep that in mind, all right? And that's, I'll continue on here. I had to put the block on off camera. It's just too difficult to reach over and see at the same time and get alignment. There's only 4 screws that attach the card to here before you put on the back plate and you do the screws there. So I'll do the thermal pads for the back. I'm putting it on the box simply because the bracket is too high. But this is what I was talking about earlier, that it would come to the bracket. And I should have mounted that screw before I did this. So don't do what I just did. Okay, so let me take the block back off. But this is, you know what? This is a good, I was gonna do it anyway to check for contact. I'm hoping my thermal pads won't fly everywhere. There is just the amount of screws and pads to, I mean, there's a little bit of extra on the pads, but there's just enough in terms of screw hardware to do this. So there are no extras, so don't lose screws, etc. I really wish that, you know, water block companies, they really need to learn. I mean, EK has started doing like a generic bag kind of deal, but, you know, include an extra standoff, Phanteks. I mean, if you miss a standoff or something, I know you like to put like 7 QC stickers on the packaging, but if you miss something and people have to RMA and you're not that quick to get them, like, you know, a spare screw or screw they're missing, you're not going to get, contact looks pretty good, as you can tell. Thermal pad did move out of place. I'm going to put that back. But, you know, you get into that position where, you know, a user might not be too happy that for something so simple like a standoff, they have to wait like 2 weeks. And that's, I don't understand. It's such a simple countermeasure that I don't understand why, you know, a lot of companies don't do that. So let's see, my pads did move a little, mostly okay. I see the indentations on the pads, so contact looks okay. This seems a little off. I'm gonna fix that. Alright, but otherwise, yeah, it does look like it's making good contact on the pads. They've obviously moved a little bit from me taking the cooler off, so I will put them back on. I just wanted to come in here and do a cut shot of the pads done on the back. I decided to do them on the back plate because not only they're cut out to size so you know exactly where it goes, you don't have to guess. I just found it a lot easier. I don't really know why, but you can do it either way. And I'm just gonna put this together off camera because it's a lot easier. And then I'm gonna hook this up into a system I have over here and we'll take a look at temperatures. Okay guys, I wanna come in here. This is the kind of shit I was talking about. I was putting on the back plate. I noticed that one of the screws stripped almost immediately. And these two are super soft. I would not even recommend using them. But you can see, I want to show you, if I come here and, well, see, this one screws in, right? Because there's a standoff that meets it at the bottom, okay? So that comes in, right? I don't know if you can see that. You can see the standoff. But if I come here, you can see that standoff is not there. So the screw has no standoff to screw into. And this is what I mean by including extra standoffs. You see that? I'm missing a standoff here. And I'm also having a this standoff is not complete because you can see the screw does not make contact either. Okay, it's going to need a longer screw. I mean, it only comes with 2 types of screws in that bag. And you can tell it does not meet. So that's 2 spots. This spot that does meet, I will screw it in. I'm going to check it for performance anyway, but I'm going to take it apart afterwards. Does this even go? Yeah, this meets. Yeah, see? That meets. So 2 spots right there. No standoffs. Or no standoff, and I don't even know what's going on. See, this side, there's an extension on that standoff, which is not here. And it's not in the bag. All right? So there we go. And this part is going to be a bitch for me to get out. Because I'm going to have to drill it or something. But you see what I mean? This is the kind of shit that it's very unfortunate. But I'll test it anyway. I think it's enough mounting points to work. But we'll see. A little background on the loop that's going on. I'm powering it from an external power supply simply because the cable that I have coming out of the power supply from the bottom, it's really tight. And like I said, don't bend the connector, right? Don't bend at the connector end. Not on the card, but on the cable. So here we have a 360p radiator attached to 3 Corsair ML120s, and there's an FLT80 with a D5. There's some air bubble noise. All of that is hooked up to a Aqua Computer, Quadro. So I can see that my water temp right now is 25.62. Okay. I'm going to reset this to default just so we can take a look at what it is without using overclocking. I'm going to reset GPU Z. You can see I'm idling at 27.3, which is about 1 to 2 degrees above water temperature, which is good news. And my hotspot's at 35 and my memory temperature's at 34. So I'm just going to start firm arc and kind of see how much power I'm drawing. All right, so I know it's hard to see. So let's take a look at GPU Z. Okay, so I'm drawing board power of 500 watts, which is pretty high. And my temperature's at 53. Okay, which is, where's my darn, hold on. It's my aqua suite, there we go. So it's 26.53, so my water temperature's gone up. So that delta is about, what is that? That's like a 29 degree delta. Okay. Not exactly amazing, but like I've said in my other videos, I suspect Waterblocks are gonna have a hard time this time, and that pretty much holds to be true. Yeah, see, so it's holding. It seems to be holding, and this is at what now? Board power draw 495. Okay. So let's see. All right. So let's see if we can get that higher. So let's just go all the way. I think I have a setting here. This is running the STRIX BIOS, which is why it's 120, okay, and not 133. I'm gonna bump up the memory. I'm also gonna bump up the clock. Not that it really matters. Let's take a look. Ooh, my water temp spiked up pretty quick. Are these fans not? No, these fans are going. Let me see. Nope, no heat soaking, but my water temperature did spike up. You can see that. My water temperature sensor is actually right on the radiator. Right on the reservoir. So it's by the coming back part. Not that it really matters because equilibrium. But let's see. Okay, so I'm still 1 degree above. Alright. So this is gonna hurt. Okay, let's bring that back out. Okay, where's my darn GPU Z? Okay, so I'm still at 57. Board power draw, 505. It's artifacting as well. I'm surprised I'm not drawing higher than that. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of no real game. Not a lot of games will draw this much, but Cyberpunk will. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna load Cyberpunk at without it being overclocked, and let's just see what the temperatures are. Okay, guys, I've decided that it's probably best to do a slight overclock. So I will do a plus 200 on the core and 115 on the power limit. I won't go all the way. I think that nobody really water cools to run on, not overclocked, right? So right now, when we're starting at a water temp at 29, this is a game, not firm mark, right? So we can get a good idea. But I'm running this without DLSS, so I anticipate heavy power draw. I'm gonna reset my GPU Z. I'm gonna launch. Hopefully afterburner hooks and I can see the temperatures on top. It's been kind of iffy. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Same for precision for me. I'm not too sure why. I'll have to look into that. But okay, as this is loading, I have to say it seems to not have been affected by the missing 2 screws that I could not screw in due to the standoffs. The block itself does look nice. It's a shame that, okay, so it did hook. It's kind of small for you guys to see, but it's at 52C right now, drawing 445 watts. Okay, I'm gonna run a benchmark. I mean, it's a shame really that, that stupid standoff. Like I said, always include standoffs in your boxes. I really don't understand these water cooling companies sometimes. Think about it, the amount of time they invest, the shipping back and forth, which is gonna be on them. All of that is just additional cost for over something that's like pennies on the dollar. Okay, so I'm boosting to 3075. I'm drawing 472 watts, and my temperature is at 54. I think it still runs just fine if I alt tab, but I'm gonna let it run a little bit. Let's see if yeah, it's hanging around high 400s, 450 to high 400s. And you can see this is a game, right? I'm not running firm mark. So I think something like Minecraft RTX, folks said I can go up to like 600 watts or something. I haven't tried that, but I'm definitely gonna look into it. But you can see it's holding under 60C. Obviously, there's a lot less noise than the air cooler would be. So I've talked to somebody that has the Optimus block for the STRIX, and he's getting 20 to 30C delta as well. The way that Optimus has put it is that they put chip power draw, a little bit misleading. I won't say misleading, but he's getting, like, for gaming loads where it's under 400 watts, he's getting like a 10 to 15 degree delta, which is, not bad, right? So you can see, let's see, drop down to 34. Let's come back and take a look. My maximum board power draw was 494. My maximum GPU chip power draw was 420, and my GPU temperature was a peak of 58. Hotspot peaked at 57. That seems off. That's interesting. No, sorry, that makes sense. Hotspot peaked at 70. I was like, how could it be lower? And the memory temperature peaked at 56. Okay, so I think my water temperature shouldn't have changed much. Yeah, it's like 30, 31. So peak delta difference was about 27. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's in line. It's not terrible, but I mean, I know folks want to see like an 8-10 degree delta, but at this kind of power draw, it's not really possible, right? So keep your expectations realistic. The EK video may have come up before this, it may not, depending on the order. I did test the EK block. I have to retest it because I feel like something went wrong there. But definitely when it's uploaded, it would be with the re-uploaded results. This block, like I said, install process, very nicely cut thermal pads. Block is aesthetically very pleasing. I don't know how well you can see on camera. I'm gonna try to rotate my camera, guys, but let me see here. You can tell that there's no sag whatsoever. Okay, so that's great, but the missing standoffs, total turn off, and the soft screws, but other than that, well, good performing block, decent performing block. I have some comparisons to hold it against, so I can tell you it's a decent performer. All right, so thanks for watching and take care.